Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Alpha. This is Alpha Psych Ward, bringing you another episode or another video on high profits. Just kind of want to go through some tips and tricks and stuff and show you where I'm at. Oh, by the way, that background music that you're hearing, you might recognize it. It's actually from Pokemon Brick Bronze, because my volume button, my mute button disappeared, and I had the game muted, so I don't know where it went. I've been through all the tabs. I don't know if they've relocated it or what, but I haven't been able to find it. So just so the video wouldn't be like just me talking and it wouldn't be kind of awkward silence in the background, I just popped open some Pokemon Brick Bronze and that's what you're hearing. Pretty funny. This game has come out with two very small updates through Steam that I've gotten that haven't gotten any kind of a description, so I have no idea what they've done except for remove the sound button, which I would very much like to have back. So hopefully I get that back. Looking at the stats here, cash on hand doesn't really matter too much. This session, what I like about this game actually is I'm resetting, like shutting down the game and reopening it. It's like not detrimental like Clicker Heroes. Clicker Heroes, if you're active or you have that click bonus, and then if you close it, you lose the click bonus. So I like that this game's not like that. I know I could go idle, but I don't. And then my lifetime earnings right there. My total Puff 37,772, and total used Puff 20,166. Now what that means, if you don't already know, is when you buy any skills in the upgrades here, are they? No, right here. So if you buy any of these cost Puff, okay? And you don't get that back. These are not permanent. These only last until you reset, okay? So keep that in mind. Now one thing I wanted to go over, and I'm going to be throwing a little bit of math at you here, but you could just follow along if you like. Now the first thing in this list, I don't have it here available for you to see because I've actually already purchased it. But there's a perk where you can increase all profits by ×3 for 10,000 Puff. Okay, now what you have to realize is Puff is worth additional profit anyways, okay? So if we go, where do we go? Right here, okay? So bonus is 3% per. It starts out as 2% per, but there's something that you can buy for, what is it? 100 quadrillion, and it gives you plus 1% per Puff, okay? So that's why mine says 3. Because there's something you buy for it. Now if you start with 2, that perk I was talking about, and we'll kind of go in here. So the perk I was talking about, which is 3 times profits for 10,000 Puff. Now you have to realize that those Puff are worth stuff, okay? Alright, so assuming that you are getting your Puff up to 3%, like you probably should, and if you're not at that point yet, don't worry, it'll come. But what you need to realize is that each Puff is worth 3%. So if you take the 10,000 that it costs to actually buy the upgrade, and you times that by 3%, that Puff that you're spending will give you 300 times profit. Now what you need to realize is the perk that it gives you, the 3 times to all profit, includes, that will also multiply all the Puff you have remaining, okay? So it affects your Puff. I just like saying that word. So yeah, it affects your Puff. So what you need to do is you need to know at how many Puff you would break even, right? Because you're spending profit to gain profit is what you're doing. So I've done all the math and I've worked it out, and if you take 15,000 Puff and you times that by the 3% that it would give you, that's 450 times profit, okay? So that's what that Puff would give you. Now if you take that, okay, so we'll take that 15,000 Puff, we'll remove the 10,000 Puff to actually purchase the perk, okay, and that's 3 times profit. That leaves us with 5,000 Puff. If you take that and you times that by 3%, because each of those 5,000 is going to be worth 3%, that gives you 150, but then you have to realize you just bought 3 times profit, so you times that by 3, So there you go. That gives you 450, just like the last number. So that's 450 times profit. So at very minimum, just to break even for purchasing that skill, you're going to be required to have at least 15,000 puff puff, and that's just to break even. So if you get to 15,000 puff puff, still do not buy that perk. It's best just to let it ride because it's the same either way, and then on your next run you'll have more puff puff added to the 15,000 because you won't lose that 10,000, and then that's the point at which you want to buy that skill. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So just remember, to break even, you need 15,000 puff puff, and then at that point, it's still not recommended. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And then this here as well, I'm not at this point, but just in case you're wondering or whatnot, this costs 100,000 puff puff to increase puff puff effectiveness by plus 2%. To break even again on this one would require you to have 250,000 puff puff. Okay, if you have any less than that and you buy this, you're going to be losing profit. And if you buy this at 250,000 puff puff, where you break even, that's not recommended as well because you only break even. You might as well save the puff puff, earn more, and then do it the next run. Okay, so just keep that in mind. That's with all of these. I'm not at this point. I have no idea what this means. This is very confusing to me. Add 10. Like 10 what? I have no idea. But when I get to that point, I might try it. I'd have to. I'm a long ways away. Alright, so coming over here, so that's puff puff. You can also spend puff puff in here, in your with your upgraders, I think. No, sorry, with your trimmers. You can spend puff puff here as well. I'm not sure if this is worth it or not. I do buy the one for Super Skunk because that's like your main source of income. I'm sure at some point this will pay off. I just don't know at which point that is, right? So I'm just holding off for now. It's not a huge deal. And that cash per second, it's not really a huge thing. If you had all of them in cash per second, like you could sit down and, you know, really hash out what's best. But right now I'm just, I don't know, I'm winging it. I'm sure when I get an excessive amount of puff puff, I'll start buying into these. That being said, looking at this board here, obviously my main source of income is going to be my my Super Skunk here. Like I said, it's quadrillion per second, 11 quadrillion per second, which is pretty high. And this is the point at which I get stuck right now. I've claimed puff puff I think twice while getting stuck like this, so I'm gonna let this one ride out a little bit and hopefully push through it. The reason being is things are just expensive. And one thing I wanted to point out, actually, if you look at the levels here, this is I thought this was quite odd. But if you look at all the levels, like they're all 200 except for the number one here, so that's all fine. But if I go 100 levels, look what happens. This one down here, it's 216 quintillion for 100 levels. But then look, this is 285 quintillion for 100 levels. 336 quintillion, like it's backwards. I don't know if it's supposed to be like that, but like look at this. The number 2 here, you would assume would be the second cheapest, but look, it's almost 3 times more than the Super Skunk, which is paying me out more money. So I'm not sure what the reasoning behind that is. Maybe because these upgrades, maybe the upgrades push those up so much higher that it actually makes a difference. But I'm not sure because like all these lower level ones here, they're not giving me really anything in comparison to this Super Skunk. Like this one here, when this one hits, like that's the only time this number moves now, is when that one hits pretty much. Like I might get 0.01 out of this one, but this is like my big earning one, and it's just, I don't know, it's backwards, it's weird. Even if we go to the max, like you can see I can level this one up the most. That just blows me away. I have no idea what's going on. Like, is that intended, or is it like buggy and glitchy or something? I have no idea, but yeah, as you can see, I'm getting kind of, well, not even kind of close, actually, come to think about it. Like, if we go to that 100, I need 216 quadrillion, like, that's still like over 70 quintillion away. So that's insane. This is where I keep getting stuck. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. One thing that I do like to do is before I claim my Puff Puff, I like to make sure that I'm at least going to double my profit, okay? So, for example, this one here, I'm going to let it ride a little bit, I think, but I wouldn't even claim it until I had 47,000 ready to go. Reason for 47,000 is I'm planning on spending at least 10,000 on that ×3 profit. So, and then that'll give me double what I have now. So, you should see the effects of that. What else to go over here? If we go into the profile, as you can see my picture here, I don't think that's upgraded any. I think that's the same as standard, but I don't know. If you see like some of these Puff Puff upgrades, like the highest one is like 25 billion, and I have 37,000. So that image will upgrade, I'm sure, or update. But I probably, this has barely even scratched the surface compared to what they're expecting you to get in the long run. So no big deal there. This actually kind of concerns me a little bit is the upgrades here. Like I'm into the quintillions for getting upgrades and stuff, and I'm sure it'll start going faster and faster. But if we look, it gets to sextillion and then all of a sudden it just stops. I don't know if they need to make updates to the game to keep going or what, but pretty sure something's gonna have to happen, because if you look at the price of a gold brick, so you can get guano, this gets expensive quick. Like this is what you need just for one guano is 10 gold bricks, and look at this, like 992.0 octodecillion. Like that's a huge number. So hopefully I can actually earn something like that without having to wait for an update. So yeah, that's all those. One thing that I shoot for when I'm leveling up, obviously it's a lot easier now with so many Puff Puff, but I focus on trying to get my Super Skunk, and obviously getting the speed bonus from all of these leveling up with your unlocks with the all strains is really good. And then once I get to a certain point, I just focus on Super Skunk. This is, like I said, this pays me out the most. So I try not to put the other ones up too much higher than I need to. Obviously I need them high enough to earn Super Skunk the fastest, but I don't invest any extra into them, because this is what's going to get you ahead right here. As for unlocks and stuff, if you look, after I have them all at level 100, pushing up to 200 can be tough, and that's when you're starting to require quadrillions. And what I do is, for example, like this is kind of the same thing that you would see, except these are quintillions, and after level 100 you'll be working with quadrillions. But I'll skip everything. I'll skip all these upgrades here, and I'll jump straight onto the Super Skunk, because that's what's going to pay out. So if you have ×3 on that, it's just going to make a world of difference. And then after I get my ×3 on that, I think it's for 50 quadrillion, then I go for my ×3 all profits, because it affects your Super Skunk again, right? And then with that Super Skunk you should be able to level it up. I actually leveled that up before. Like I'll get a few of these up there, maybe up into level 200 when I'm pushing up into the 200s, but then before any of like these ones over here, before any of these, I'll actually get my Super Skunk to level 200, and then I use the money from that to level these up quick. And that's kind of been my game plan. And I would do that here as well, except for the simple fact that that's a lot of money. I'm still not there. Like 200 quintillion just to get that sucker ×3 profit. And actually, hold on. That actually might be... Oh no, that won't be better. Like I'm just considering, because this will give me ×3 profit at 200 quintillion, but 100 levels is 216 quintillion. But what this will do is this will give me, I'm level 200, so it'll give me 50% more here, and it'll half the time. So I'm going to make it twice as fast, and 50% more, right? So that's actually going to pay out a lot better. And I'm going to let it ride to that point, I think, see what happens. And then, yeah, like I said, that's the odd part, is like once that's the easy one. It pays out the most, so I'm going to have to really see what happens. because every 2 minutes 24 seconds I'm getting lots, well, significant amount. And if I half that time and increase by 50%, I wonder if that's going to make all these pay out a little bit faster. Somehow I don't think so though, because I've been actually riding this out since my last reset. I think for a while now. I'm pretty sure I haven't restarted since I let it run overnight. So, oh no, never mind. I did reset after a little while there. I forgot about that. So I have reset this morning, and this is brand new progress. And as you can see, like this is claiming pretty fast. That's the other thing that I like about doubling up before I reset or claim my reset. It's because if you double up, then how fast you're earning Puff Puff when you get to that same point, you're gonna earn Puff Puff twice as fast, right? Which is good because I double up, so it kind of pans out to be about the same time, if that makes sense. Yeah, and I don't know, I think that's everything. We've got all the unlocks here. I'm not super far into it, 50 of 626. So yeah, lots to do, long ways to go. Trimmers, once you have all of them, then these guys here, like I said, I don't know if they're worth it. And they get super expensive. Look at some of these guys, like, oh my goodness. Like homegrown, 10% off for 10 billion? Like what? And you don't get this stuff back, so I'm not even sure if these are really worth it. And you have to understand that like 10 billion Puff Puff, like that converts into a lot of additional profit. So I don't even know how well off you'd have to be, or how far in for this to actually pay off, if you know what I mean. Another thing too that you can buy for one Puff Puff, and I'll probably get it every time. It's the opposite to this one. Well, not the opposite, they're pretty much the same thing. But this says unlock quick upgrader. I think the other one is simple upgrader or something like that. But what that means is just this thing here. It just gives you this button, and then you can just click this and upgrade, or you can come in here and select your upgrades, whatever you want to do. I'll probably buy that every time just because it's only one Puff Puff, so who really cares? I've come to the conclusion that you cannot, unless maybe in events. I haven't done any events yet, obviously, because they haven't had any, and I don't have that to go back in time. But as far as I know right now, there is no way to earn diamonds. I think you just have to buy them. I could be wrong. They could be awarded in events, and I really hope that they are, because I'd like to get some. And I don't know. I'm cheap. I don't want to spend $4. So yeah, and I think that pretty much covers it. So let me know in the comments how you guys are doing, how far you're progressing. You got me beat. Are you about the same? You got a ways to go yet? Let me know. Look forward to reading your comments. And yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. I really do appreciate all your support. You guys are just absolutely awesome. And you guys remember to be good. And if you can't be good, just don't get caught. Alright, take care guys. Bye bye.